Boa tarde. E agora já me ouvem? Ok. Eu não estava a projetar a voz o suficiente. Bom, bem-vindos, boa tarde a todos e a todas. É um gosto poder recebê-los e permitam-me os nossos convidados ingleses primeiro a saudação em português. É uma honra e um privilégio para a Fundação Aga Khan, aqui na parceria com a Casa Mendes Gonçalves, que na pessoa própria também vos dirigirá algumas palavras. Queria também saudar aqueles que nos estão a ver à distância, na transmissão em web streaming que está a ser feita deste momento e desta conferência. So, welcome to all of you to the conference, but also to the Ismaili Center. It's an honor and a privilege to the Aga Khan Foundation to host the conference, and especially to host and have the privilege to have the expertise of the speakers of this afternoon, with the architects just traveled from Japan, Takaharu and Yui Tezuka, but also from the Portuguese architects, 𝗫𝗫𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Portuguese, and 𝗀𝗂𝗋𝗶𝗱𝗱𝗏, it's a Portuguese architect, so they will be the ones to enlightening us this afternoon around sustainability and how learning environments can gain from the knowledge and expertise of architecture, that are how the Tezuka architects say it's not only an object, it's much more than that. It's something that can really change the life of people. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation and for being here today. And I will pass the floor to 𝗀𝗃 Feroze to welcome you to the Ismaili Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just say just a few words. First of all, to welcome you all to the Ismaili Center this afternoon, and congratulate all the organizers for the event, which I'm sure will be quite inspiring, bearing in mind the speakers and the theme that is on the table. For those of you who don't know, the Ismaili Center was inaugurated about 25 years ago. We will be celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Ismaili Center next July. It was inaugurated by former President Mr. 𝗀𝗂𝗋𝗃𝗰𝗁𝗁. And the Ismaili Center serves a number of purposes. It's the headquarters of Aga Khan Foundation in Portugal. It's also the house of the Shia Ismaili community in Portugal. But it also serves a purpose, according to the vision of His Highness the Aga Khan, serves the purpose of promoting knowledge. So in the Ismaili Center, we very frequently, almost on a weekly basis, we host events to share knowledge on education, on science, on pluralism, by different entities, by, of course, the Aga Khan Foundation, but also the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Red Cross. Last week we had the Congress of the Cardiology Foundation. So we have different entities, different agencies, governmental and NGOs promoting events at the Ismaili Center. So this fits like a glove. The event of today fits like a glove in what is the mission of the Ismaili Center. I would also like to extend a very, very warm thank you to Mr. Carlos Mendes Gonçalves and to the Casa Mendes Gonçalves for the very, very happy and close relationship that we have built over the last few years with Mr. Carlos and with his organization, with both the Aga Khan Foundation, but especially the organization that I have the pleasure of leading, which is the Ismaili community. So thank you very much, Carlos. And we are grateful and and look forward to extending and deepening our relationship in the years to come. Just to finish, I would like to just finish with a quote by His Highness the Aga Khan. His Highness is the spiritual leader of the Shia Ismaili community. He is the 49th hereditary Imam, so leader of the community. He is also the founder and leader of the Aga Khan Development Network, which is a set of agencies in the fields of education, social development, healthcare, etc., etc. One of those agencies that is part of the Aga Khan Development Network is the Aga Khan Foundation. And in 2003, in a conference that was held in France, and the title of that conference was, "What does it mean to be an educated person?" He said, and I quote, "Education must also make the case for a pluralistic tradition in which other views, ethnicities, religions, and perspectives are valued, not only because that is just and good, but also because pluralism is the climate best suited for creativity, curiosity, and inquiry to thrive. It must also stimulate students to consider a variety of perspectives on some of the fundamental questions posed by the human condition. What is truth? What is reality? What are my duties to my fellow men, to my country, and to God? At the same time, education must reinforce the foundations of identity in such a way as to reinvigorate and strengthen them so that they can withstand the shock of change." End of quote. So I just leave you with this quote to inspire what I'm sure will be very thoughtful and inspired discussions this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Sim. Obrigado, Raim, obrigado, Karim, obrigado, Alexandra, por nos receberem aqui, por nos acarinharem como sempre nos têm acarinhado. Thank you for all the speakers. Thank you for Yuri, Tezuka-san, for coming to our lands to see our company, our people, and share with us your vision and help us to build our dream together with Aga Khan Foundation. O resto tem que ser em português, desculpem, porque o que quero fazer não tenho capacidade em inglês para dizer, e é importante demais, que é agradecer às pessoas que aqui estão da Aga Khan, ao Karim, a ti primeiro, que aquele nosso almoço em que combinámos começar a partilhar alguma coisa e a fazer esta nossa parceria, que começou com o vosso bordo económico, com os rapazes solteiros, depois com os casais, que se alargou depois para focos com as famílias afegãs que temos recebido. Obrigado por essa oportunidade que nos deram. E se me permitem também uma homenagem à Mariana e à Farana, nossas queridas amigas que tanto acarinhavam este nosso projeto e tanto nos ajudaram a construir. Obrigado por nos deixarem participar e fazer a diferença na vida destas pessoas. Vamos fazer mais, muito mais, em conjunto e com a vossa ajuda. Obrigado. E depois, a razão por que estamos aqui, eu disse a Alexandra que era a culpada, no seguimento da nossa relação e da maneira como me receberam sempre como um dos vossos, e que lhes agradeço muito. Conhecemos o Departamento de Educação da Fundação Aga Khan. Eu tinha um sonho de construir uma escola na minha terra. Acredito que a única forma de mudar alguma coisa na vida é através da educação. E como muitas vezes na minha vida tinha um sonho, mas não sabia como ia fazer, mas ia fazer. Até que, como sou uma pessoa de sorte, não é, Conceição? Muita sorte. Conheço pessoas extraordinárias e conheci a Alexandra E naquele dia, naquela sala onde tivemos hoje de manhã, um projeto que nós tínhamos aprovado, e como eu lhe disse, foi a decisão mais acertada que tomei, e por isso estamos aqui hoje. Esqueça o projeto acabou de ir para o lixo. Não fazia sentido nenhum, depois de conhecer todo o Departamento de Educação que conhecemos hoje, de conhecer a Alexandra, de ouvir tudo o que ouvi sobre esta organização fantástica, a maneira que faz e como faz. Não poderia ter tomado outra decisão, e aqui estamos hoje a começar a realizar o nosso sonho com a vossa ajuda. E finalmente o que quero é comprometer-me uma vez mais com esta obrigação imensa que tenho, eu e os meus colegas todos, que não vamos desiludir, vamos mesmo fazer. Obrigado pela vossa ajuda e por nos ajudarem a realizar este sonho. Obrigado.
So my time now, it will be very short, just to say again that this question that we are bringing today, it makes only sense with the speakers that we are privileged to have here today. So they are architects, but they speak much more than about architecture. But I will not say anything that it's their purpose to say. What I would like to say is, why is the Aga Khan Foundation investing in early years? Because this is the best investment, as Raim Firozali was quoting His Highness, is the best investment for any society. So if we really believe that communities have the right to the quality of life, we need to invest on the beginning of life. It's not only after birth, for us, it's also on prenatal period also. So the quality is coming from that, the human side of the way we live together. And that has many components. The world is more and more complex, so we must be sharp in the way we work on education, but we also have to be ambitious on the standard that we have to achieve. And that's why we are working for many, many years, and in Portugal in particular is what joined us here today. This was the first investment of the Aga Khan Foundation in Portugal, and that's why we are here today, is to keep the dream of building good societies coming from the prenatal period. And for that, we need spaces, environments that are respectful to people and to all the assets of the world. And for that, architecture, design, and many other knowledge and sciences have its contribute. But what we really would like to create here is the time and the space to give the floor to someone that is already doing that, to learn from them, to inspire us, and also humbly say that they can also be inspired for what the Aga Khan Foundation is doing, by what the Casa Mendes Gonçalves is doing. So for us, it's a privilege and an honor to be here today. But I will also like to say that this moment, this conference, is also our contribution to an international campaign that the 𝗀𝗏𝗂𝗀𝗏 European platform is promoting for the last 2 years, is First Steps, Our Priority. And the Aga Khan Foundation is a partner of that campaign since the first minute. So we are also trying to inscribe this conference, this moment, as our contribution for the knowledge, the reflection, and the evidence-based work that is done around the world regarding early childhood education. But it's also something that is inscribed in our long-term project on education, that is Schools 2030, and we have here some professionals from the schools with whom we are working, And this is an action research project, a longitudinal studies that is studying and doing, trying to promote quality learning environments and holistic learning outcomes. So I think this is bringing us together, not only the specific team that is on the conference and the knowledge of the speakers, but for us as the Aga Khan Foundation is also part of our bigger education program. We cannot see slots of things. We are always thinking on integration of everything that we do, the holistic approach in everything that we do. So that's why it made all the sense for us to join with a private company to help someone that has a dream for his own village, his own city, but having what we could bring to that dream and also join people. Today we have in the room people from many different areas, not only architects, but I salute the presence of many architects in the room. That's something that for the Aga Khan Foundation in education is the first time that we managed to get that kind of audience. So take this moment as your first moment with us. And we also have education, social security, municipalities. We have a large number of people that are really concerned on day-to-day basis for the quality of learning environments. So thank you so much for being here. And I will give the floor to the moderator, 𝗀𝗂𝗶𝗱𝗱𝗂, and to all the three speakers. And mainly for now, I would say my thank you to Ugo, who accepted for my first call the invitation to be the moderator of this conversation this afternoon. He's a professor at the architecture faculty in the University of Lisbon, but it's much more than that. You can read on the program. But first, among everything, I think is a trustful friend. We met professionally, and now I can say we are more than that, friends. So thank you for being here and to trust us to give your knowledge to this afternoon. So the floor is yours. Thank you, Hugo.
So good afternoon to everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank the Aga Khan Foundation and of course the Ismaili Center of Lisbon for having me here and for having obviously the conference where we're all sharing the knowledge of and the insight and the experience of these architects that have been invited. And so the conference has this title, Quality Learning Environments and Sustainability. And it's a great pleasure and honor to welcome all of us, of course, but especially our guests and our speakers, the architects Tezuka from Japan and 𝗫𝗫𝗁𝗃𝗀𝗃 from Italy and Portugal that I will present to you briefly. The main goal of this conference, we could say, is about stimulating the debate and thought and the reflection on how buildings can be designed and conceived for childhood education, mostly, and childhood development, based on principles of human and environmental sustainability, aesthetics, of course, buildings that can ensure the well-being of children, but also the well-being of all the adults and all the communities that experience it on a day-to-day basis. And also the idea that school environment is, to a great extent, responsible for the building of the citizenship. So the responsibility of school architecture and the building of environments has this really enormous responsibility and importance. So discussing this, thinking about this, reflecting is definitely a key point in our times. And so it's an enormous pleasure to be here and taking part of this conference. So what does this mean, this reflection? It means to think of how to plan, how to design, how to build educational facilities that can point to several number of different objectives that we could very simply name out. And I won't be long, don't worry. I'll pass quickly the word to our guests. But we would say that the idea of the sustainability in a building is really important nowadays. It's almost a common sense for all the architects and all the community. Also, the relationship that the building has to establish both with the community and with the environment, also a theme that's going to be central here, definitely. Then the idea of the creation, of the design, if you want, of stimulating safe and high quality educational environments, which are really important for the development of children and for the learning process, of course, and the creation of liberty, citizenship, autonomy in the child, very important. Then the relationship between the buildings and its surroundings, both in terms of the urban context, but with nature also, very important. More and more we understand the importance of nature, and we'll see our guests speaking of this broadly. And finally, also the involvement of the local communities and how schools nowadays have to be thought as places that have to welcome our involving communities, and that their participation in the teaching learning processes are also really important. And so with these purposes in mind, not to be too long, it's a great pleasure to present our guests and then pass the word to them. So starting with our Japanese colleagues and friends who are here with us today, Takaharu Tezuka was born in Tokyo in 1964. He has a bachelor degree in architecture from the Musashi Institute of Technology in Japan, and then a master in architecture from the University of Pennsylvania in the USA. He worked with Richard Rogers in London, I imagine, between 1994. And in 1994, they established Tezuka Architects in Tokyo. He has been visiting professor in several renamed schools of architecture, both in Europe and in the United States, and currently he is teaching at Tokyo City University. Yui Tezuka was born in Kanagawa in 1969. She has a bachelor degree in architecture also from the Musashi Institute of Technology, and a master in architecture at the Bartlett School of Architecture at the UCL, the University College of London. She has also taught in several very important schools, both in Europe and the US, and currently she's teaching at Toyo and at Tokyo University. So also this dimension of the research and the teaching and the passing on of our experience to a next generation. And so in 1994, they established Tezuka Architects in Tokyo. And since then, the office has worked in a very, very large number of architectural projects, which they were just telling us about, a very impressive number, that range from individual homes to collective housing, to sacred spaces, to office buildings, to museums, amongst many other briefs that the office has developed. But it's probably in their design work focus on the learning and educational spaces, especially for early childhood, that their work has gained enormous visibility and worldwide acclaim and recognition. So works like the Seto Solen Primary School, the Children's Center at Miraizu Sora, the Nazubi, the Fuji Akatombo, and the Muku nurseries, amongst others, and of course the kindergartens Asahi and Fuji are amongst many other remarkable projects that have been published, have been awarded, and are very well known amongst the scientific, academic, and the disciplinary community. So, for example, some of these case studies are studied in the Lisbon School of Architecture when we have to design, or when our students are asked to design childhood or schools or early childhood buildings. So, just to give a very tiny example. Just to name some of the most prestigious awards that the office has gained over the years, the office received the OECD UNESCO Award for the Best School in 2011, the Global Award for Sustainable Architecture in 2017, one of the key themes here today, and more recently, the 2022 Archdale Building of the Year Award with a beautiful building that I hope we'll see here also today. So I would say in a synthesizing what we will see, probably in much more we will see, I would synthesize that this and risking this, and the architects will probably tell me yes or no in the conference, that for them the architecture is centered on some very simple but very powerful ideas. The first one, architecture should be a fun place, it should be comfortable, and it should be beautiful. Architecture should be in dialogue with the environment. Architecture should be in relationship with its context. And finally, architecture should be built openly, simply, ecologically, and centered on the human being. And just to finish off before passing the word to Takaharu and Yui, to say that there's a sentence which is really beautiful that 𝗀𝗃𝗂𝗀𝗃 also told us here, is that architecture can really change people's lives. And I pass the word to them with this challenge and this beautiful idea. Thank you very much. Later on, I'll come and present Nadir before his talk, okay?
Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for inviting us to the lecture in Lisbon. I'm quite happy to come back here. Actually, I came to Lisbon last December for the jury of the World Architecture Festival, so Lisbon became a little bit familiar place for me. Is it working?
Não vi nada.
Maybe we should use this. This is simple. Mine's working.
Mine is not working.
So you just use this, okay?
Okay, this is easier. And as you can see, I'm always in. I work with my partner Takaharu Tezuka. As you can see, I'm always wearing red, and he always wearing blue. So my iPhone is red. It's easy to recognize us. And when we decide we are red and blue, we decide everything we share is in yellow. So my daughter is in yellow, and eventually we got the son, and he's supposed to be in yellow too, but my daughter said, my brother should be in green, so he became green. So this is my family. So we are primary colors. The reason why I start talking about family is that family is very important to understand happiness. We design architecture for the happiness of the people. Architecture is a kind of tool to make people happier. So we should know what happiness is to create happiness. Then I'll start talk about the 𝗁𝗃𝗂𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 Kindergarten. Yeah. This is the old building of the 𝗁𝗃𝗂𝗀𝗃 Kindergarten. This is a kind of just normal concrete structure, but the atmosphere, there are nice atmosphere. And the nice thing about this, the old kindergarten, old 𝗁𝗃𝗂𝗀𝗃 Kindergarten is that the corridor was external. So the principal was walking along this corridor back and forth, and when he went into the classroom, we could hear the voice of the children. That was so nice. So we wanted to keep that feeling. And then, and also we designed this house. This is called row house. This family can have lunch on top of the roof. You can see there the table and benches and many skylights. And they can lean the ladder at the skylight, and they can climb up on the roof. And the principal of 𝗁𝗃𝗂𝗀𝗃 Kindergarten liked this house very much. And also, we have kids, and you know that the kids love to make circle. These are my kids. It's a kind of genetic memory written in several courses. So we came up to this idea. So we designed this kind of donut-shaped kindergarten. So the principal can walking around the kindergarten without knowing where to end. And also, children can running around on the roof. And you can see there are big trees. It's 30-meter tall trees. We want to keep these trees, but it's kind of difficult to keep the trees in the middle of the building. So we did So we try to keep these trees like this, and we did a kind of archaeological excavation to make sure where the root is. So we designed a kind of special base which doesn't cut any root. So we could keep the trees like this. And then the principal said, when we designed this, he said he doesn't want any handrail on the roof because he liked our row house, and row house doesn't have a handrail. And he said, how about sticking out net around the edge of the roof to catch the children who had fallen off? He was quite serious. So we made drawings, and we brought that drawing to the Planning Application Authority. But they said, "Are you serious?" So we couldn't. We have to make that handrail. We designed a special handrail, but we could use his idea around the trees. So we were allowed to call this rope as handrail. And we put net around the trees, so children can falling off around the trees.
Did it.
Yeah. But this handrail is nothing to do with kids, so children can keep falling off around the net. So there's more and more and more. And sometimes we got 40 children around the tree, and children love the tree, and he is eating the trees. And this is how we have handrail. And so we designed this handrail. So the gap between the vertical bar is 11 centimeters. So the children cannot put their head out, but they can pull their legs out. So they can sit around the playground. So there are 500 children can sit around the roof. So the monkey is behind the bird. It's feeding time. And you can see, actually the ceiling height is quite low, so it's only 2.1 meter. So you can see what's going on the roof and what's going under the roof at the same time. If the ceiling height is high, you can see all in the ceiling. And when this kindergarten was completed, we were surrounded by 500 children. It was so touching. I liked the moment, it was quite touching, the moment to hear the children start running around the roof. And after that, we got a call from the Ministry of Education. A wonderful thing happened. This kindergarten was selected as the best school in the world in 50 years. Yeah, so you know the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, they selected many schools as the best school, and we were selected as one of the best.
No, not one of the best of the best.
We were the best.
Not one of the best.
Sorry.
The best of the best.
Best of the best. Sorry. Yeah. And this is the gargoyle to collect the leaves, so children can touch the water. And in this kindergarten, teacher is using buildings to teach children something. And the teacher is telling children, when it rains, the waters get together around here. It makes the stream, and it becomes rivers. Some kind of things they are teaching to the children. And this is a lake washing place. Actually, the water tap is free-shaped, so children can spray the water to their friends. And also, actually, this boy, he is not washing his foot. He's putting water in his boots. And this is we have doors. We have sliding doors between classroom and outside. So this sliding doors lands on the curved rail like train. And we have 6 rails, so when we open all the doors, it becomes 1/6. And you can see there is no wall between classroom. So I can say, when the children doesn't like his classroom, he can go to next classroom. And we asked the principal, is it okay? And the principal said, it's okay, because he will come back eventually, because it is round.
Yeah, you know, we had so many visitors from outside the world, from outside Japan. And sometimes we had about, 5,000 people coming from outside in 1 year, and including Japanese, there are about 50,000 people coming to this kindergarten. And always people make the same question: what happens? It rains, especially amongst the serious German professors. And one of the German professors said, what happened? It rains. Looks really outside. Of course, there are sliding doors, but they're worried, the corridor is outside. It rains. Children might get wet. And the principal said, no, in Japan, when they get wet, they change. I said, no, but still, they might get wet if they change. Well, in Japan, usually kids are waterproofed, so you can wash them clean. The point is, these days they're worried about kids so much. So, sorry, just I can see that, you can wash them clean. When it's rainy, they stay outside like this. Okay, there's one more thing I need to tell you. Hold on. A sound is gone. What happened? Could you put sound on? I think sound. Yeah, good. It's very strange sound. Actually, this is not Japan. This is the Bali Island. Thing is, hold on. The beep. Did you hear the beep? The beep behind the song was recorded. And when I played that a recording in Tokyo, I thought it's a glitch of the iPhone. But the scientists explained, no, there's a background noise you couldn't hear. In jungle, we have ability to cancel that noise and as information, not as a frequency. And then that your body is doing exactly the same. Your breathing and the cardiovascular system, heartbeat, all these are erased, so you can't hear your body noise. Because you are a part of the environment, but if you dive under the water, if you disconnect your body from the rest of the world, you can start listening your body noise. So if you under the water, you can hear your breathing. My point is, some people think silence is very important for the children, but it's not true. If you take your kids to the restaurant, when you want them to eat, they sleep in noise. And when you put them into quiet kids' room, they start screaming, where's my dinner? And also, they're scared. Our point is, in jungle, when silence comes, that's the time predator to come to eat you. Okay? Silence is normal situation. And my point is background noise is very important for the body of the children. Now we suspect modern building could be the cause of some autism. Some silent scientists made research about it. Okay? And I wrote some paper about that for United Nations. And also there's some medical paper saying when you put a newborn baby in special room, they start having psychological disorder because they lose ability to erase their body noise. I'm not saying you have to put your kids into noisy room all the time, but when you are in natural environment, always about 7 decibel of background noise. that makes them to calm down. And also, if you think about serious conversation, if you are having some serious conversation with your friends, you don't book a meeting room in a municipal building. No, you go to restaurant or cafe, and you talk over background noise. So it's very important to control the background noise. And the worst thing is having echo, in the space, but it doesn't mean you have to be quiet space, no? And I can talk about that quite a lot, but I don't have time today. The thing is, noise is very important part. And also, sometimes I talk about bacterial balance. When you put them into clean environment, and the internal, immune system start having a mutiny. And then they start having really bad allergic reaction, all the things. So my point is, our body, and especially kids' body, is a part of environment. It's not constant. Changing temperature and the background noise, and also lots of bacteria. And if you have time, maybe I can come to pick up my book later on. Okay? Now just you can come back to the conversation, okay?
Yeah, this is how we divide the classroom. We designed these boxes, so we can pile the boxes and divide the classroom. And the children are supposed to help teachers, but they didn't. Yeah. This is not boring.
It's not abusement. He loves it. I saw one in your school. They were in the bucket.
Yeah. And finally, teacher made this configuration, and they changed this configuration every month, and changed the furniture. And it's a time of exhibition.
It's an exhibition, Christmas time.
Christmas, yeah. And this is the hand washing place. Yeah, because we don't have wall, we designed this well for children. So there are four people can surround the hand washing place, but there are only 2 water taps. So they have to communicate. These days, children love to play the PlayStation or mobile game, so they don't talk each other when they are together. So we force them to talk. And this is at the time of Christmas, it becomes a flower pot. And you can see there's a tree in the middle of the classroom. And the monkeys above the net, they can feast another monkeys. Yeah, they are cute. They are looking down. And actually, at the time of Christmas, Santa Claus Santa Claus came with a present, and they coming down through this skylight with this.
It's like a chimney.
Yeah.
But once they made a mistake, they hired American Santa Claus. It's designed for Japanese Santa Claus. You can imagine what happened.
Yeah, another monkeys, cute, very cute. And these strings are these are switch for the light bulbs. So when you put the one strings, you can lit the 3 light bulbs.
It's very important part of education. Instead of using the latest technology, we are trying to bring the consciousness about environment. Just they can lit off only where they want to use. It's low tech.
Yeah. There. And this shows the movement of the boy from 9:10 to 9:30. It's 20 minutes. So the circumference is 200 meters. So it means that this boy running around the roof, 600 meters. So it's quite a long distance for a kindergarten student.
It's not. Actually, he made 6,000 meters in the morning before lunchtime, and surprise is not yet to come. Average is 4,000 meters. That is 8 times of the normal kindergarten children. It's, just environment makes them run, okay? Can run. This is a part of TV program. There are many TV programs. You can see that the kids running on top of the roof. And it's not one direction, If you go to China, they are running one direction. With music, they are not looking happy. But here, both running both directions, so they bump each other. But the principal said, so far, nobody has died yet. Last 10 years, so it's okay. You can see that they're running spontaneously. The spontaneous movement is very, very important. And also the important thing is it's not the design just as a playground, So there are some objects for chimneys and just like a Casa Mendes in Spain, Casa Mendes,
Barcelona.
In Barcelona. The kids are allowed to climb up the trees. The principal said, when you tell them to climb up, they fall. But when they are climbing up by themselves, they don't fall. I'm not sure it is true or not, but so far, they said nobody has broken down yet. And there are more than 1,000 children. Okay.
And after we designed the Fuji Kindergarten, the principal asked us to design an English classroom. So we designed a big kindergarten, so not so many land is left. So we designed this kind of a small building around the tree.
The good thing is, after we won the prize, she was appointed as one to set up new standard for the kindergarten. Before that, we had so much problem. After that, we can ask to change the rule over the dinner table. Could you change it? So now we can do whatever we want. We were supposed to have 3 meter ceiling height, and now just we can put 5 floors in 5 meters, so very low ceiling.
Yeah, so we designed this building, everything in kid scale and everything in smaller scale. So the size of the column is 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter.
It's convenient to have a government inside the house.
And when we design this kind of building, there must be a dangerous point for kids. So we took our children without helmet and let them play. Yeah, this is my boy, and he hit his head here, and he made a bruise, and he reported to us. But
it's okay. He's my son, so he's resilient.
Yeah, he's trying to see if he can jump off, and he did. And after the children came in, you can see the traffic jam always a problem in Tokyo. Yeah, and traffic jam. And the boy is trying to jump off, and the boy is helping his children, his friends, to climb up.
It's very important to bring up some right dosage of danger so they can learn by themselves. These days we are spoiling children.
Yeah.
This is how they learn social skill.
Yeah, they are helping each other. And actually she is helping her friends, but actually she is trying to drag him down. Yeah, this is how they play. And the architecture itself works as a furniture, so it becomes benches and tables. So, she looks very happy because she can touch the ceiling. And this is the night view after dark.
Okay, now I'll take over. Okay, I'm going to show you just only a few projects. We already had more than 260 projects. I can't show you all, so you have to invite us again. And this is called Muku Nursery School, actually, which belongs to one of the food company. And as you can see, we are trying to make endless circulation. When they don't see the end, they keep running around. And also, we didn't want to make edge. There's no hiding place. So, and with this diagram, I found we can connect sound function, organically. If you want this function here, you can do it in 360 degrees. So it becomes quite flexible. So this is a model we made at the beginning. The client liked it. And this company produced 5,000 meals per day. And then they make the best food and also best education. Okay, this is how it's built. I thought it's looking nice from above, but the neighbor called gas tank. But actually not from underneath. And in Japan, it's very important to have eave, means a between space, outside, inside. And that is most of the old Islamic architecture used to have. Just Alhambra, other things, Mesquita, all these. And these days, we lost these kind of space under eave. So that makes building to be more exclusive, not inclusive. It's very simple timber structure. We don't have much time to talk about this, but you can see that how we control light. And these days, we use timber structure quite a lot. And this is a pool. Instead of making a sharp edge, we are making shallow, dish so that they don't get drowned. It gets deeper and get deeper, and so they know why this should stop. It's looking like, okay? I'm going to show you some more projects. It's the museum, and we are piling up timbers. It's quite big structure. And always we try to discuss about the spontaneous movement. We don't tell them what they should do next. It is net inside. And these days, always praying to comes with instructions. But here, you put them in the net, leave them alone. They don't come out, even they're hungry. Oh, of course, they come out for the toilet. So. Okay? This architecture is not the thing, but the event. Things happen. This is the best picture of the architecture. And there is no furniture inside because they nest on the structure. And always father is tired. And my son and my wife, he's cute. He used to be. Actually, he's taller than me now. Okay. And now I need to talk about the museum I'm running. I'm a president of the museum. One of the organizations came to me, and I want you to design a kids museum, children museum. I said, I don't like children museum because, if you go to normal children museum, there are so many menus. You have to choose, and you leave your kids inside, and parents have to go somewhere, and it becomes a kind of after-school education. And I hate the word education on the weekend because I want to play with our kids. I said, okay, can I make zoo instead of kids museum? They said, it's okay. But if you do that, you have to run the museum by yourself because nobody understands it. I said, okay. So I made this concept drawing, a dish of kids. And on the weekend, you can go to zoo with the kids and you can spend time with kids. And so this is the model, actually we made. So, but we don't have money for lions and giraffe, so we put kids instead. And our parents drink outside, This is the concept. And we made this. So it's a very soft dish. They can, play with, and we create something artwork, some kind of artwork with kids. And this is spontaneous movement. They love running around. They keep running. It's a very soft surface. We are not telling them what they should do, And then mother wants to do the same. And the Japanese garment is not designed for this. And the best moment is coming. She jumps. And also, until last year, it wasn't easy to organize a music event But here they can make a distance. And usually kids doesn't like classic music because they have to sit in the chair. But here they can choose distance. Everything is spontaneous. And you can see the kid getting closer to music. So it wasn't making kids to hate the classic music. It was architecture. Same thing, same problem with the school buildings. School building was making them hate school. Okay, that is what I thought. Okay, more coming. You can see that what they're doing. The slides. Sorry. Okay. And there's a rule in my museum. If you have seen the idea before, you're not allowed to do. You do only things we have never seen before. And we use balloon. I was 5,000 balloons. We wrapped around, and we work with university students. And every 3 or 4 months, we change our tool. So this is not something we buy from famous company. This is newspaper. And in this museum, we are trying to do, they are not allowed to do. This is toilet roll. You love it, okay? You can see how happy he is. This is how kids were supposed to be, okay? So if you're coming to Tokyo, you should try to bring your children or your grandchildren. They'll love it. But you'll be charged for entry fee. It's not free. Okay. So we always talk about food. And there's one more important thing we need to talk about. And we have a project between India and China. You can see this is Himalayan mountains. And there's a small corridor going through. This is Tibet. This is where Dalai Lama escaped. No? And then you can see the red dot in the middle. And China claims it's a part of China. India claims it's a part of India. I don't want to get into the political movement, but just I'm merely pointing out this area became dead end, or the corridor, so they became very, very poor. And we are the first foreigner going into the community after the revolution. You can see that how deep it is, and we have to drive through very harsh road. You can see the landslides going on. So the bar opens, it can run very fast, and then it closes. And there's a landslide again. And, the ridge is about 4,000 meters, 5,000 meters. And there's one interesting guy over there. He's a monk. He started community deep in the mountain like this. And after this, maybe you can watch this movie. The place is called 𝗀𝗃𝗂𝗀𝗃. And the monk was born in toilet. And he was orphan. And because his grandmother couldn't raise him, so he was sent to monastery. And then he became very, very clever boy. And then he started to represent the Dalai Lama. He was sent to Boston. And eventually he started making lecture in Harvard. So he's starting from the toilet. And he went to Harvard. And 17 years ago, he started this community deep in that mountain where I pointed. And that school became the best school. Okay, he's going to go. So it became the best of that region. In India, our education is very hard. If you want to go to our university, you have to be in top 20%. But here, 95% of children go to university. And the 9 best students of that region come from this school, but all orphan. The poorest area, our most remote area, making the best education in the world. And this is a movie, and how, just the one picked up children, unwanted children, can be raised. Okay, going next one. And this is showing how the monk pick up the children one by one. He said 1, 3, 5, and then now he has 126 children. And this is how their life is very happy. They are making road. But they used to be farmer. Some kind of environment changed a lot. He picks up children to walking around. And this is a naughty girl. She was picked up, but she doesn't know how to behave. So she's having trouble. I don't get into detail, but that principal, the monk, talked nicely. He saying, I had a difficult time too. And now, eventually you grow up and you have to be nice lady. But she became nice lady now. She's about my height. Okay? And now just in this incident, you can see that how children doing, this girl is raising us, taking care of a small girl, a small boy. And this is how they study. And they go to the best school in India. And now they are trying to send the children to Harvard, the best of the best. It's amazing. The educational level is top in India. And he's telling how he became the monk and how he started his school, but he was born in toilet, And now that he's showing, what's happening. I think he's going to talk.
My most difficult.
Could you make it the voice to be a little bigger?
And how to accept new kids. When I say yes, it means equally say I will save this kid's life. When I say no, it's about saying no is equal to saying that no, I don't want to save this boy, or I cannot save.
Now only he can save only 10%. She had 7 children, and the 6 died. And last one, she wanted to send last one to the school, but the boy couldn't wait, and the boy died. So the grandmother lost 7 children, all grandchildren. And this is making funeral. This is how you can see how harsh it is. 7 grandchildren were lost.
I cannot undo my life and go back to my childhood and really live my childhood fully. But one thing that now I know is that I could help to give these children their childhood that I missed in my life. When I see they are laughing, screaming, and playing, I feel I'm living my childhood. I'm lucky that we have 85 children now, and I miss only one childhood, but I got opportunity to live 85 childhood.
So he could stay in that, he could stay in this community. He could stay in Boston comfortably. And he went back there. He started community 70 years ago. But he knows that our Himalayan mountain had earthquake. It's Himalayan mountain is a fault line, biggest fault line on this planet. And they are losing a building. So they needed a building. So I started raising money, 2 years ago. It's still halfway. Now we decided to collaborate. And then we went there, and suddenly they organized my wife's birthday party. They welcomed us, okay? And this is how they serve. Oh, is it moving? Could you move? Could you make this movie to move? No, actually, it's a supposed movie. Could you make it move? Yeah, it's not moving. Is it full? It was supposed to be fun. It says stop. Could you make it move? You see? You don't know? It was moving just some time ago. It's a kind of nice moment for joke. You spoiled. Moving now? No? Let's try again. Okay, try again. It's not moving. Anyways, they're using hand, so it was supposed to be fun, to show it. Anyway, okay, I give up. Oh, it's not moving at all. Just everything stop. Everything stop. I think something wrong with and a running competition. Blue guys running. And now just I'm coming to topic. Okay, it's education. This is showing the last lecture of Shaka. Okay, 8 trees. People are sitting around. The Shaka is making lecture. Okay, this is called shunyata. It's a basic idea of Buddhism, nothingness, zero. Okay, and the idea of zero started from India. Okay, and they said we want something like this. That when you lose yourself, you can accept, and also you can be connected to the world. There is no beginning and end, and this is a base of world peace, and also sharing. That is what he wanted to represent. So we had a discussion how we can represent idea into education. And that he made interesting, he has been making interesting education. The education made them, the most remote school to be the best school, almost the best school in India. And he started education from seed. You put seed in the kids, and no blackboard, no textbook, notebook, and then even you are allowed to tell a lie. Why sky is green? Then you can start thinking. And second stage is digestion. They study with textbook, and then they can use blackboard, and also just make a conversation. And the third stage is very important, sharing. This is what they're missing in modern education. Sharing from 2, 3, 7, 13, 11, it's odd numbers. Actually, that is a method in Tibet Buddhism, how they debate. So that is the time. Knowledge become wisdom. Wisdom is a living knowledge you can share with others. And we try to figure out how we can make that kind of sharing space. 1, 2, 5, 7, and we try to figure out the dimensions. And dimensions. How we can make that group to be bigger and bigger. And then this is how they teach, Sometimes they do the outside because they're missing classroom. They stay outside. This is digestion, They study over the wall, By the way, usually these days, some kids doesn't want to go to school. But here, the biggest punishment is you can't go to school today. They want to go to school. They love to go to school. This is our starting point of sharing. But this is not square, okay? Usually architecture is square. And then, this is my university. I try to test it in lecture hall. Actually, it's a design studio. Try to find a distance. We found 7 meters of optimum maximum distance. You can talk to each other. Beyond 7, you can't talk to each other. And also some niches, you can make conversation. And also this is about science class, how we can talk and how we can put some equipment. And we did lots of studies, more than 3 months, more than 100 kind of study rooms, 1 by 1 scale. And we made model. And this became the plan. New school. So it's new shunyata. So this circle represents sharing to the world. Because zero, you can talk to the people in Portugal, people in Ukraine, Russia, the United States. Because nothing inside. Usually the teacher wants to put things inside. But when things are full, you can't put anything in. And also, you can see the classrooms. The classrooms, you see some niches. So you can keep sharing things and you can expand your knowledge. So this is the kind of things we try to do. and the Himalayan mountains. We are making this, okay? The shape we derived from the idea. So the pedagogical idea became a shape. Okay, this movie is not moving, it stopped again. What happened? Oh, it stopped, started. What did you do? Okay. He's saying Shunyata. He is just below the Dalai Lama. Now just the Dalai Lama said, I can represent this school. And we got the support from Prime Minister Modi too. So everything is started, okay? And also I need to tell you one more thing, you know? This is concrete building happening in that region. In that region, there was no poverty because local used to make their own house for new bride, new pair. And then they used to make some field for the need. But because of the war, stopping corridor, they couldn't do that. So they started making a road, and they're getting money, and they started making concrete building. And then the money went to the town, the biggest the city. The closest town is 500 kilometers away. 500 kilometers is quite a long distance in Portugal, right? That is that is the closest town they can go for, closest airport. So money goes away and they became very, very poor. That's how poverty started. But this is how they used to live. And the concrete building didn't stand in the earthquake because there's not enough steel bar. Steel bar is expensive. This stayed. So I said, okay, we should go back to the original. So we are making program. We can reforestation. We can use local tree, and we can plant a tree, and we make wood industry. And also we are using stone because they have lots of space. So it can be thick stone wall with a lot of local concrete. Sorry, just now, okay. But it's not 45 minutes. Okay, we're gonna finish. Okay. Anyway, so we are using a local technique to make a space. This is how the building is to be done. Hopefully, okay. We don't have much time, so it's not going to be clean timber like this because we are going to use local small timbers. Okay. Okay, anyway, like this. Okay. I think we are going to show you some one more slide. Sorry, I know that we are running out of time. Just to show you one more. I think this is interesting. University building. We want to show. This is we described Eden Garden derived from Bible church. And in Japan is a very, very interesting place. Mixture of Islamic culture and also Christianity culture. We can build mosque right next to Catholic church. There's not even one place. And this is how light comes in. And we have very good acoustic condition. So, if you invite me next time, we can show you how it works. We don't have much time, so time to explain. Yeah. You can see that how light disperses. So light changes. And also acoustics is extremely well controlled. As I told, acoustic is a very important part of design. It cannot be a part of a picture. It can be shown, but children can listen to. They can listen to 30 or 40 kilohertz, while we can listen to only 10 to 20. They got different ears. By the way, piano is mine. I prayed. Okay, anyway, this is how we raised our kids, just 2 years old. Then he never got drowned. Next day, he started swimming. You worried about drowning? He dived 8 meters. And thus he doesn't need stairs. But you are not allowed to do that anymore in modern society. Anyway, Thank you very much. You can come to pick this up later. Good, thank you.
So thank you very much for the wonderful conference. A lot of things to think about and to discuss after the next presentation. And now it's up to me to present 𝗀𝗃𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃. So 𝗀𝗃𝗃, our second guest speaker, was born in Milano in 1969, if I'm correct. Yeah, more or less, 67, a little bit older than me, okay. And he became an architect at the Polytechnic of Milano in 93, and after that he came to Lisbon, where he worked first with João Luís Carrilho da Graça, quite one of the leading architects in Lisbon and in Portugal. And he opened up his own office in 1996. And since then he's always been in Portugal, so we consider him now a Portuguese-Italian architect. I don't know in what order he will tell us. Okay. So in his office, in the 10 years that he had his office, he developed a wide range of work from architectural design, focusing very significantly on competitions, on architectural competitions that he used as a means also to experimentate and to research into architecture in the themes that he's interested in, but also developing work on scenography, design, and also in curatorship in exhibitions and other workshop activities. So this first phase of work was concluded in 2006 when Nadir decided to close his office and return to, again, learning, researching, and teaching, which he has been doing ever since. And so since then he's been developing research work focusing mainly on low-cost passive strategies on housing, especially for the poor, and focusing at some part of his research in the northeast of Brazil. This period culminated very recently with the conclusion of his PhD in architecture at the University of Évora. And throughout his career, Nadir has received several awards and has been published in architectural magazines both in Portugal and abroad. And his design work and also his theoretical reflections, especially from the first phase, are condensed in a book of his authorship that we have there. I should have brought it here to show you. So he has a book of 2012. And his main concerns on architecture, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, could be synthesized also in the following ideas, a little bit like I did for Tezuka architects. I think for Nadir, architecture should concern itself primarily with environmental, social, and economic aspects on the one hand. On the other hand, architecture should look to the past to move forward. So learning from the past to be inventive, to be innovative, to be new. Architecture should always be site-specific. Both of the architects here, the teams, have this in common. Architecture should be low cost, but high quality. Another thing that I think is a very important theme of our times. And finally, architecture should be centered on the human being and designed for all, being as inclusive as possible. So I'm not sure if I touched all the points and elements that interest Nadir, but I'd like to thank you once again for being here with us, and I'll pass the word on to you. Thank you, Nadir.
Good afternoon. Well, I'm thrilled, sorry, after the presentation of the Tezuka architects. Amazing, amazing, sorry. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the Aga Khan Foundation. It's an honor to be invited to participate and share talks about education and architecture alongside such a committed panel and, of course, with this audience. Thank you very much. I just check, okay. Designing, well, the title of this presentation, Designing with Empathy, is a thought that has been on my mind since university and has been consolidated through my personal and professional experience over the years. We live on an amazing blue planet that has testified the rise of life at least twice and has provided a home for our species. However, due to our choices, we are witnessing a rapid decline in living conditions, including worsening air quality, desertification, and struggle caused by climate change. Poverty remains a reality, and nearly 50% of the world population lives in varying degrees of extreme poverty, according to the United Nations. Wars, old and new, continues to be a never-ending story, sadly, a part of human history. I carry these wicked problems in my mind and in my profession, as I have always believed that, of course, architecture could play a role in improving quality of life and help solve our biggest nightmares. But architecture is ultimately a tool, depending on the question asked, such as building program, total plot, available investment, client needs, desire presented. Architecture can be used to either separate and increase inequality or integrate and promote equality between people. I certainly agree with this quote of Mark Wigley, architect, professor, author, and dean of the Columbia University. But I still think that the quality of architecture lies also in the quality of the question made by the client. Well, I'll start to introduce a little bit myself, just a compliment on what Professor Hugo said. I opened my office in '97 and soon decided to learn about bioclimatic design, the science behind a building's passive behavior in a specific climate and conditions. I participated, as was told, in public competition where the questions were mostly technical, leaving room for out-of-the-box thinking in some cases. Over 14 years, my team and I participate in 47 national and international competitions of varying size, some which were awarded, few were built. This experience consolidates my interest in passive energy, not just in the shaping of the formal space, but also in the thermal space. However, due to the economic crisis that started in 2008, which prompted Portuguese society to stop investing, and with the absence of public national competition, I decided to close my office in 2012 and begin my PhD research on low-cost strategies for poor houses in Brazil. Today, I will briefly discuss two projects that have influenced me, focusing on the initial question. The first is a kindergarten in 𝗀𝗃𝗃, just outside Lisbon. And the second is the research which I conducted partially in Brazil and partially in Portugal. Okay, this is not the best kindergarten ever, okay? It's not. But, if I may, it's a pretty good one. The kindergarten is located in a suburban residential development, 20 kilometers northwest of Lisbon. The area has several or had several poverty issues and was not very safe at the time of the competition. The public regeneration program aimed to reorganize the main entrance to the town and implement a new urban park following the Jordan stream, oblige the demolition of the old kindergarten and the construction of a new one in a new place. Some restrictions were presented. The kindergarten should be built inside a pre-designed square, and the classroom should be elevated from the ground due to the maximum level of the 100 years flood. The program information was strictly legislated with a very short leash, because we have to admit we have many regulations in Portugal, many. Besides that, there were no special requirements beyond the need for a new kindergarten, nor space to think out of the box. So after visiting the old school and acknowledged the pedagogical system used, we started the project with one main object in this cube: give healthy space to all kids using bioclimatic strategies. On the ground floor, a line of infrastructural spaces, elevator, stairs, boiler room, trash room, rainwater collector for WC and garden watering, and the same line divide the public space from the kids' playground. On the first floor, first and second, on south, the classroom for the kids, and the complementary space on the north side. On the roof, finally, a volume elevate for stack ventilation and to support the solar panels for heating and hot water. While studying the local legislation, I found an article in the master plan that allowed an increasing area for bioclimatic buildings. Of course, it was used immediately to create this kind of bow windows outside the intervention limits, which was allowed. With these big openings facing to the playground and the city. The idea, the need for direct contact between the first floor and the playground was mediated by two bridges that make, of course, this link. The idea of the playground was worked with landscape architects João Nunes and Carlos Ribas, and was based in such small area on creating different levels, the green and the orange, to provide spatial variety. Some hiding and seeking places. Well, the classrooms. Here we can see a little test that my older son was doing during a visit on the construction site. And here it is once it was appropriated. Well, at the time, as you can see, the view was a kind of chaotic, but nonetheless was the pulse of this area regeneration. Now it's all green, but you stay now with this image and you will think that, of course, it's not the best. Here are some others with the bathroom area, corridor, and bathrooms. East and west facade with a controlled opening for thermal purpose, and finally the playground. And more playground, at the time after a talk with Professor Carlos Neto, which is an expert in childhood behavior. We tried to substitute all the fixed games with more movable and leading to more imaginative games, but of course the client didn't want to follow with the proposal, which he denied. We won, the building won an international sustainable award by Fassa Bortolo and the University of Bologna in Italy in 2006. In 2010, the kindergarten was included in the 4th compendium of exemplary education buildings by the OECD. At the time was great, but really a few days ago I received something I was not even expecting to feel. Last week I went to the school. I couldn't show you the school without go and check if it was really a mess or not, and I was sincerely really afraid after 11 years. Well, but I went there with my son, just to have some, the one you saw before, just to have some support in case. And now, it was not a mess. It was incredible, an experience. Really, I couldn't. The building was integrated. You see now the trees grown up. It was integrated with the park. It was already living alone with its users. The same educators were there, and they were very happy to see us. They also remember my son, amazing. We went through the school, and all the kids were having their activities, always with the opening, entering, exiting, and I really felt like I had helped to provide a healthy space for them. Some minor technical problems, of course, were shown. When the architect goes, it's a classic, but they were absolutely satisfied with the result of mostly 15 years of use. In that day, I received a great prize, really. This, the second project that I will show you today, is research that had a basic question that I myself formulated: how to improve living condition in a poor house. Soon I understood that it was a very ambiguous question. I also had quite a few ideas on how to solve it, even if I did not know the context. We architects have always this kind of imagination. Nonetheless, I had to go there to see and really understand the context, the typology of poor house, and how the houses are used in such environment. I moved with my family to Ceará, a northeastern state of Brazil, close to the equator. The last census showed that 43% of the state population was living below the line of poverty. Well, the first year was spent in Fortaleza, the capital of the state, with over 2 million inhabitants. Establishing contact with the poor community during the first month seemed like an improbable goal to achieve in a violent and suspicious environment such Fortaleza and many cities of Brazil. However, I was able to find a job and enter the communities, paradoxically, on the front line of governmental expropriation in 7 slums. 𝗔𝗺𝗯, in fact, is a word rejected by the poor population, which call it community, and I will start to call 𝗔𝗺𝗯 community from here on. Each community had a former representative to keep the team safe, guiding us through the narrow streets during daylight hours, and mediating with the resident. I visited over 700 houses and spoke with some of their owner, observing the trace of living. The poorly built permanent houses have a spontaneous origin and are constructed outside the regulation. They start as a unique piece that will be extended over time by the householder. Even when achieving the last stage of the shelter, that's the brick house, which became the focus of my investigation, it is always evolving and unfinished, much like life itself. The technique used to build these houses is most rudimentary, and the material used are the cheapest available. The most common type of envelope is made of a single layer of brick that is often shared with the neighbor, and rarely plastered on both sides. On the walls, a wood structure is settled on which ceramic roof tiles lies directly covering the internal space. The internal distribution is organized based on the structure support. The entrance is used at night as a shelter for bikes or motorcycles. The rooms are often open at the roof level, allowing for air circulation. The bathroom is located anywhere, mostly close to the outdoor sewage solution, and has no relationship with any internal space. Houses have hooks, of course, on the wall to support hammock, and each space supports multiple usage. Most owners store use and found construction material to be employed in the future. No glaze in the openings, just metal bar for protection. Soon I realized that I needed to reformulate my architectural approach to adapt and operate in this context of extreme poverty, using what Levi-Strauss called the first science, bricolage. I also have to reevaluate the concept of order, chronology in this type of fragmented construction. After 1 year, I was able finally to establish a set of prerequisites, hypotheses to work on. Of course, the roof, responsible for 60 to 70% of the indoor thermal behavior, was identified as the enveloped side to be improved. All strategies should be effective, low cost, suitable for self-construction in a do-it-yourself mode. In the second year, we moved to a smaller inner city, Sobral, where I managed to teach at the University of Architecture, INTA, and I started immediately contacts with the resident association of the community of Dom Expedito, located on the left side of the Acaraú River, the riverside historical sensitive to flooding. Of course. After almost a year, I was allowed to survey 10 houses and interview the owners. The houses overheat during the day, of course, reaching 37 degrees Celsius of internal temperature, and the only mitigator used was the fan. I understood that to engage with the community, I should bring an idea, a project to implement. The first strategy proposal was inspired by Hassan Fathy houses, where natural ventilation acts as a cooler, improving comfort through evapotranspiration. After an extended study of the state of art, a portable plug-in rooftop solar chimney, that I will call CHS, was designed and prototyped during a summer school course to experiment its capacity to induce indoor ventilation. The project was presented to the community with the idea of creating a workshop with interested residents, free of charge, to build up to 5 CHS and install them. I managed to obtain a small budget from the university to buy the construction material. People were curious, but I really don't know, lack of trust or something. I couldn't get it. Nobody candidates, nobody. Only 𝗀𝗏𝗂𝗃 family agreed to participate. Her house was one of the 10 I was served. Nonetheless, they were unable to help in the construction of the artifact. Plan B had to be set up. During an architectural summer workshop, over here are all summer workshop because it's always summer. A second version of the solar chimney was built and installed with students. After 4 months of use, the qualitative results collected were positive, reporting improvements in indoor comfort.
Então a gente sente, eu que estou aqui, estou diretamente em casa, estou sentindo a diferença.
E como é que se transformou o espaço? O que é que sentiu, né? Melhorou o espaço do quarto, o Benício consegue dormir, não consegue dormir?
Melhorou. Antes era muito quente, à tarde ninguém conseguia ficar no quarto. Quente demais. Era 2 ventiladores à noite. Era de um lado, outro do outro. Agora resumiu.
Agora, usa um ou não
usa
usa
só um? Porque ele é muito quente, nem a noite toda não. Quando está mais quente, assim, até 1 hora.
However, a 6-day measurement campaign showed inconclusive results, indicating even a slight indoor temperature increase. Well, the sense of responsibility that I had grown would not allow me to settle on this experiment. And unfortunately, or fortunately, a few months later, we returned back home to Lisbon. The research continued at the University of Lisbon Faculty of Science, where were built test cells using bricoleur technique, and this I can tell you for sure because it was me and my sons to build this. We are not very good on that, but okay. The solar chimney on its third version was improved, and complementary low-cost strategies were also selected and studied, including a reflective roof coat strategy implemented by painting the tiles in white, the radiant barrier with an aluminium film, an insulation board using Tetra Pak used packages, and a normal chimney. All strategies were implemented and evaluated, taking 3 years of experiments on test cells, analysis of data, construction of a model for thermodynamic simulation. The solution to mitigate internal temperature costing less than €1 per square meter was not the solar chimney as originally thought, or any other idea that I had before. Instead, a suitable solution was an insulation board built with the used Tetra Pak packages assembled and hung on the roof. I consider a building like a living body with the internal organs, infrastructure, bones, structure, muscle, the envelopes, and skin, the finishing. And we live inside it, or them. A bioclimatic building uses passive energy from the climate, sunlight and wind, to maintain indoor comfort, allowing us to live in it without physical distress and with low activity energy use. However, it requires user intervention to properly open and close the windows when is needed, especially in climates like Portugal, where the middle season can be in bioclimatic buildings problematic. We just saw a really hot and unusual April, but our body can also adapt. In the kindergarten, users learned how to use the building and took care of it as it took care of them. At the time, I tried to find the budget to verify its internal behavior, but the client was not interested and the kindergarten did not have the budget to invest. It was a bold and risky construction in a world set up to build with air conditioning. And even thought we designed with empathy, I feared it might not work and felt we should really verify its behavior. But it worked. For the middle season, the kindergarten installed fans, one fan in each classroom to solve some overheated days. And I can say it was a shared project. So they are co-author of the building. In the second one, I use the same empathy strategy to understand the problem and constraints, formulate hypotheses, and effectively proved the behavior of the solution with science. In this time of emergency that we are living in, with the CO2 levels rising to levels not seen in 800,000 years, resource depletion, energy crisis, and all the climate change problems we are facing, architecture must adapt and change its paradigm. Also, on the brink of artificial intelligence intervention in our lives, I think we have to educate ourselves, everyone, to see the world around us in an empathic way. Taking care of humans and nature, reshaping our habitat, and preventing, basically, our possible extinction. The question asked need to be a good question. The solution have to be designed with empathy, analyzed using our available science, and verified also with a quantitative methodology. It will not be easy. A few days ago, the president of our Chamber of Architects gave an interview pointing out that there are strong resistance in the transition from carbon to post-carbon culture, as huge, I quote, as huge vested interests are in place. And he also said that in sustainability, nobody can be left outside. Absolutely agree. To conclude, I would like to use a quote from Tezuka Architects, if you may. Architecture is not merely an object, but holds the power to change people's lives and society. Yes, the potential is there, and we have many examples. This also is an amazing space. This is the first time I'm here. Architecture is a powerful tool. Nonetheless, its power doesn't rely only on the architectural project, but also on the society question asked. The new and needed paradigm can only be achieved by the effort of everyone involved in the project, the client, the team, and the users. Sustainable buildings and cities depends on the quality of the question asked, on the multidisciplinarity work to design, and on the participation of all society. We have a great challenge in this near future, because at the end, we did not inherit our earth from our ancestors. We borrowed it from our children, sorry, my mouth, and we have responsibility to them. So thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Nadir, for your great talk also. And thank you again, 𝗏𝗂𝗀𝗃 Architects. And to moderate now the session. And so I'm going to ask everyone, if whoever wants to ask a question, we can pass on the microphone to either one of our guests. But before passing on to the microphone, I would also like to say some words about what we've just seen. And we've had two very, very interesting, very insightful talks here. And in my view, one of the interesting things that connects both of them, and I think it's also a paradigm shift in architecture, and this is the question that I have for you, which I'd like both or the three of you to answer, is that we have two talks here in which the human dimension and the usage dimension and the architecture as a scenery for life and as a possibility to improve the quality of the human being's life and thus also the planet's life is in the center of the speech. And my question is, I was wondering, maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, most of the architectural conferences and debates were focused mainly on aesthetics and on design principles, and I think this is a good move for architecture. But my question is it just a niche where we're sitting here like a bubble, or do you feel that there is a change now and that architecture as a discipline, as teaching architecture, practicing architecture, are we as a class, as architecture, moving forward towards what Nadir was pointing to at the end of his speech? So I'd ask first here on my right, and then.
Okay, can you hear me? I don't think the theme architecture has been changed. Somehow media has been changed. Now people became serious about such a kind of aspect, possibility of architecture. But it doesn't mean, I don't care about aesthetic of architecture, okay? At the end, I was showing the church, okay? I took 6 months to draw that 56-meter wide drawing, and 4 months to drill the hole. And that is aesthetic, okay? But point is, architecture has to be shared with other people. It's different from this normal artwork, okay? And architecture can live with only life of people, okay? If the architecture is not loved, the architecture cannot survive. That's happening. So, you can say that every kind of architecture, okay? So I don't think nothing has been changed. Maybe it's the media has been changed. At least we have never been changed. Same. What do you think? No, you can talk to this.
Yeah. I think how can I say? Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think how can I say? I feel so as same as him. Yeah, the architecture itself hasn't changed, but when the 𝗏𝗏𝗂𝗏 started his architecture, he was also talking about the love of the people. I guess architecture can help can change the life of the people. 𝗏𝗏𝗂𝗏 was saying that as well. So I think from that age we haven't changed. Yeah, so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
I can only agree. Maybe the culture is different in Japan, but over here, also I don't see much changes. And our president of the Chamber of Architects just ended to say that there's a lot of resistance. I did not understood really if it was only political or also was inside the architects. What I think is we have really give importance, priority to education. Without education, we really cannot do anything. It's working hard without, mass to shape. And it has to start at the beginning, in all phases of life, to understand what we are really passing through.
I think there is one thing I need to tell you, and there is a big change about development of the city. Recently we have been approached with some many cities, not many, just some cities, and I realized development companies found education is the most important opportunity for the business, because every family spend equivalent money or push for a child. If you want to raise a child, you have to pay the money for the Porsche or sometimes Ferrari. And all children, all family does that. But usually people don't buy Ferrari and Porsche so easily. So, and even wife doesn't care, even husband travel long distance. And the wife wants to live close to the good educational facility. So in India and China and other places, and I found, they build pedagogical facility first, and then they go for commercial, and they go for office. So children first, husband last. That is I found. I think that is a big change happened recently.
You want to add something? So maybe we can open up.
By the way, somebody, if you make a good question, you can get the book. Prize. I know how to deal with the students.
It's always about a good question.
Nobody? Okay.
Good questions in the
back. Over there. You have to point out, okay? There are two, one guy and then one lady behind.
So I wonder if I'll get a book. Question for Tezuka architects. I was wondering, looking at Fuji Kindergarten, the first thing that came to my mind, even before your excellent presentation, was it reminded me of the panopticon architecture.
It's a prison.
Yeah.
𝗀𝗋𝗃 Bensum.
Exactly, with a circular building with a center point for surveillance. I was wondering if that the panopticon architecture in some way inspired or informed your intervention. Thank you.
Yeah, very intelligent question. I think you are testing my knowledge. You know that I'm professor already 27 years. I know everything about it. And the panopticon is a kind of model built for prison by our thinker called 𝗀𝗋𝗃 Bensum. And it is some kind of watchtower in the middle, and prisoners around it, surrounding the space. And the difference between Fuji Kindergarten and panopticon is that there is no center for Fuji Kindergarten. So it means when you don't have anything on the middle, everything on the link can be interactive. But when you have something center, everything is disrupted. So it's all become some kind of separated. That is quite a big difference. Okay, and people try to put something in usually when you make circle, but the circle is not about surrounding. It's not about the opening. It's like a campfire. If you do campfire, you can't go to the center because you get burned. And in the campfire, you can be interactive because you can talk to many people. Interesting about the principal of the Fuji Kindergarten is that he doesn't have his principal room. He sits right next to the entrance. So he's acting like a janitor. Okay? So everything equal, interactive, all these. So I know that prison, but I'm trying to go for opposite. Thank you. Good question. I think you must be professor, huh?
More questions from the audience?
Yeah, there's the lady behind, you're making questions? Okay.
There's
Okay.
a question here. Yeah.
Hello. I find your projects very interesting because they break the norm and the rule of what is a classroom, what is a space, and they provide the possibility for the children to interact with the environment and learn from it. And I can feel, maybe it's my perception, that the children are very open to it. But what about the parents? Were they as happy, or did you have to try to convince them that maybe being in a non-squared, closed space will also be better for the children?
Okay, I can tell an interesting story about the principal of the Fuji kindergarten. In the first day of the class, or before they get in, they say, okay, your kids might break your bones, leg or their arms. I make sure they don't break their neck. He says at the beginning. But, for 250 seats, there's more than 3,000 applicants. The biggest number of applicants every year for one school. And the problem of these days is, we listen to the loud minority. We listen to the loud noise. Okay? We listen to the complaints. But I found most of people are quite decent. So he said, as long as I'm doing right thing, I don't change our idea. We should do right thing. That is only thing I learned from that principle. I would say 95% of people are fine. Maybe there are 5% people having problem. And usually, public sector try to obey that complaints. But I found, top of the always there are some people on the top of the government want to do something, but they don't have enough support from architects or some kind of specialist. And then now just we are talking to the government. Even I got the support from Prime Minister for some buildings. I think now we can, just like Barack Obama. We can do that. Yeah, I think it should be, it should be tough on it. And when I can't convince them, I get sacked quite easily. But it's a life. But you should know that you should believe people. 95% people, maybe more than 95% people okay. I think we should listen to the majority. I believe.
Was it a good question or not?
Very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
One question.
Okay. Is she from the Ministry of Education?
Yes.
Good.
It's very hard for us to think outside of the square box and to convince other people that it's okay to try.
But believe me, in Japan, I saw that Japan is a very difficult place to be changed. But now I'm talking to, first secretary of Ministry of Education. Even I got the prize for Ministry of Education, Minister of Education. And top people understand it. But when just the time passes, the organization start making rules. But the rule was supposed to help us to do good things. I graduated University of Pennsylvania. There's a sentence saying, law without moral has no meaning.
No opinion.
Thank you very much.
I didn't get it. Sorry.
Maybe later.
Okay.
Okay. Because we got my book already.
Cool. Sí. Well, I saw your school, the 𝗁𝗂𝗀𝗁𝗶𝗃, and I asked myself if before you, or you had some kind of help in talkings with the principal because I imagine that in a school like this, even the pedagogical program have to adapt. It's not easy even for the teachers. I mean, with this space, you have to make up your mind on and accept kind of. You have worked with, or it's your idea of, which is wonderful, by the way, but of school.
You mean how I convince them?
You convinced them.
Yeah. Okay. I told you. First of all, I can tell you how I learned. Actually, I made this quite similar question from the student of Harvard, where I lectured. One very clever student asked me, "How did you learn about children education so nicely? Where did you learn?" I asked him, "Okay, you have your girlfriend. I know that. Okay, yes. Are you going to get married?" "Yes, we are going to get married. You are going to have a baby." And do you understand it? The problem is that these days, people don't follow common sense. You know what is right, but somehow rule is against it. Okay, and so if you open the book, okay, you get only you have in this world. But if you think, if you talk to your heart, you get the answer. That is what I learned. Okay, do you have a child? Yes, you have a boy. So you know how they behave. So you know what to do. And eventually, after I learned things from our children, and I did some paperwork. I wrote some papers now, and also I did the discussions. And I have been in this business more than 20 years. And then I started learning the codes, how its logic has been made. So this kind of talk was built up as I get old. So I say, when young time, I can follow my instinct. And also it's very important to get white hair. You get wisdom.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I already have it.
You have a question?
Thank you.
So, I think we reach a point that very important, how we can have education spaces, learning spaces without pedagogical, without listening the users, as Tezuka-san was saying. We need to be wise, but also we need to really involve and make everybody participate in the way the buildings are designed, they are tested, and they are lived. It's important because if it is, especially if it is a public school, how the ministry is responsible to build and to manage, it's very important that there is a pedagogy, there is an image of the child, the image of a society that is empathic, as Nair was saying, Nadir, but also how is playful, how is really giving freedom to everybody to be human, and how this is coexisting with all the environment and all the human structures that we are building. But it's very, very important that you have a vision of education and a vision of humanity. Otherwise, it's just a building. So thank you very much for all the inputs that you brought, and I think we got inspired. And
today.
I'm not looking for a book.
No. But I'm saying,
I already have one. Thank you.
Yeah. I have microphone. Okay. today I didn't have time to talk about our primary school and secondary school, and the education has been changed quite a lot last few years, and we built our elementary school in new way, and technology changed education quite a lot. I think the AI, can provide knowledge to the children. So, our school can anticipate difference of the children. Until then, teacher has to check every children. Now, we can take care of our children differently. So, teacher can put more emphasis on project-based learning. And the change started 2 years ago in Japan. And the Ministry of Education in Japan tested with one of the schools. And interesting, there's one thing I found out. Government cannot test it in public building. So always government ask private company to do something tested because they don't want to risk. and then when it becomes successful, they follow. And that's what happened to Fuji Kindergarten. And that is what happened with new elementary school we built recently. And that is what happened with hospital we designed for the children suffering cancer. So change can be happened, but always change happens from private, not public. But people on the top know what they are doing. That is what I found out.
We hope.
I don't know if there are any more questions in the audience.
No more questions? Nobody
More
wants
comments?
book? No comments? No book? There are lots of books.
There are a lot of books here.
Still.
It was too boring, huh?
Okay, so if there are no more questions, I would like to it's my duty now to finish off the conference, and I'd like to thank all of the presents here. Ainda quem vai falar agora? Peço desculpa.
Yes.
So I'll finish off this part of the conference now, and I'll pass on the word for the finishing off. Thank you very much to all. Thank you for our speakers and all for the questions. Thank you very much.
I don't have beautiful slides, but dear speakers, moderator, and dear guests, it is an honor and a privilege for the Aga Khan Foundation to welcome you. On this day, we have the opportunity to learn from each of your vast experiences. Over several decades, the Foundation has invested in education because we believe it is a fundamental right of individuals. In Portugal, we have made a continuous investment in early childhood education, seeking to inspire, to demonstrate, and to produce knowledge that supports the improvement of quality of professional practices and public policies, always based on participatory processes and believing in the transforming power of action research. It is for this reason that today, it fills us with great pride and joy to be able to partner with Casa Mendes Gonçalves, which under the inspiring leadership of my very dear friend Carlos, trusts the Aga Khan Foundation to dream and build a path together. A path that combines the absolute conviction that education and a good start in life are the best investment for any society. A path that for us is still an opportunity to learn more from someone who already knows so much about sustainability, climate resilience, regenerative agriculture, and has been an undisputed partner and an example to many in welcoming and caring for the migrants and refugees in his company and in the city of 𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗋𝗀. Well done to all of those who share their knowledge today and to help us walk this path. Thank you very much, everyone.
On this, okay. Yes. Maybe I can go.